Hello and welcome to DDOcast episode 329, recorded on March 21st. I'm your host, Patrick. This week's screenshot, a Shudder Kai seeks to escape the domination of the Nether East in the 164th screenshot of the week. Thanks Satiriasis for sending in this cool-looking screenshot. We like to talk about Dungeons & Dragons online nearly every weekend. You can catch us through Google+, Hangouts, YouTube, or from the website at DDOcast.com. Those are all good places to catch the live shows. Generally, if you want to find the show as fast as possible, those are the places to do it, particularly YouTube and DDOcast.com. DDOcast is hosted by Cyber Ears, the awesome podcast hosting network. Shows are usually available within a few days of recording. The next show will probably be sometime next weekend, maybe a recorded show, depending on how things pan out. You can stay updated by following us on the social media pages or our website at DDOcast.com with our calendar. If the show's going to be live, I generally post a little teaser on social media saying, hey, the show's going to be live at this point in time. And usually always a link to DDOcast.com where you can catch that live. On the podcast this week, we have updates about the Akami Net Session debate. Update 21, Patch 1 hits Lemania. And at the very end, we'll have a walkthrough of the Crucible along with Jerry. News for the week. Regarding the Akami Net Session, there's some issues about players not really wanting this software on their computer. Cordovan wrote that, hello, we have recently enabled a non-peer-to-peer version of the Akami Net Session client for the DDO launcher and wanted to update you on the plans to utilize this service in the future. The Akami Net Session client allows us to quickly and reliably deliver fresh DDO content client installations to you and assist in the repair of missing or corrupt files in current game installations. The client utilizes Akami's large network of edge servers to deliver this content from a location which is deemed graphically closest to you and ensures that we are able to efficiently and effectively get you what you need to play DDO. Although some versions of the Akami Net Session client used by other software providers utilize peer-to-peer technology, we've decided not to use that technology as it relates to DDO. What this means is that Akami Net Session will not use peer-to-peer when delivering DDO-related content, even if the peer-to-peer Net Session client is installed. The peer-to-peer setting is configured on both the Net Session client and on the server end, and both must be configured to enable peer-to-peer before peer-to-peer traffic is allowed. When they launched Update 21, the Akami Net Session client was introduced in part to replace the former Pando-enabled client. Since the launch, we've heard from you about your concerns, including the need to accept a required end-user license agreement that contains language in which enablement of peer-to-peer technology is discussed, despite the decision not to utilize that aspect of the client. The requirement that Akami Net Session be installed on your computer to launch DDO, even if you no longer have an immediate need for the program, and that Akami Net Session reinstalls upon subsequent launch of the DDO client once removed. They've been investigating the options and have found a solution which we hope will alleviate concerns. In a future update, we will be altering the Akami Net Session client to only install if the DDO launcher detects that it is necessary. For example, if you accidentally delete a required file or you are installing new ones. Additionally, we will use a more specific ULA that will provide details on what the program is and more clearly matches their actual usage of the product. Once you install the DDO client, it will be possible to uninstall Akami Net Session from your computer, and Net Session will not reinstall upon subsequent launch of the DDO client unless it is necessary to deliver a deleted file or a fresh installation. Typical game updates will not require the use of Akami Net Session. As always, they appreciate your support and thank you for playing. They can't commit yet to a when that will happen until the engineers have completed the work and has gone through the process, but the short answer is as soon as they are able to do so. It hasn't quite happened yet. No word if it will happen with patch 1 or not. Carme Noctum wrote regarding official DDO emails, adventurers, first and foremost, please make sure that you always keep the email address on file with your Turbine account up to date. This ensures that if you make a store purchase, update your account information, or need to recover your password and username, that you will receive the proper email. Additionally, please be sure to add the email addresses no-reply@turbine.com and newsletter@emails.turbine.com to your address book or safe senders list. Emails for recovering your username, password, and about account changes come from the newsletter@emails.turbine.com. Store confirmation emails come from no-reply@turbine.com. Adding these emails to your contact list will prevent them from being blocked as spam by your service provider or lost in your spam junk folder. If you have taken these steps and still don't receive the proper emails, please don't hesitate to contact the support team. Update 21 Patch 1 hit Lemania this weekend. The release notes are available, and I'll kind of cruise through some of those. I'm not going to list them all, but we'll have them in the show notes. The Divine Crusader is a righteous warrior who purifies and consecrates the ground he walks on to confront evil head-on. Through a mix of melee power, offensive spell power, and auras, and aggressive debuffing, Divine Crusader presents a potent melee damage-dealing option in the Divine Aspect Destiny Sphere. That's kind of the major push for this patch. Some notes on enhancements. The Eldritch Knight's Wand and Scroll Mastery now functions, yay. Paladin's Sacred Defender stance now properly allows for weapon swapping and wand, shield, or scroll shield usage without losing its specific benefits. That was previously applied to the Fighter Defender stance. The War Priest in Flame benefit no longer stops working after a random number of uses. The Music of the Sewers, Makers, and Dead now have their appropriate saving throws, durations, and functionality. Let's see, Epic Destinies, Draconic Incarnation Breath attacks now benefit from abilities that affect the associated element, as well as spell augmentation. There are a number of changes to the Divine Epic Destiny spheres, most of which we've already covered, but there may be some new ones, but I'm not going to go too into depth on some of those. Fury of the Wild, the Boulder Toss is no longer considered a spell, which means it can be used in an anti-magic field. However, it no longer benefits from spell power. However, the damage has been increased. The Unyielding Sentinel, again, we kind of covered most of that before. Feats, Ruin now has a visual effect. Woohoo! Let's see, the Magical D20, the Card Cruncher, and the classic D&D collectible cards must now be in their bag in order to be placed into a bank. Classic D&D cards can no longer be placed into the auction houses. This is because they can't actually be found in the auction houses. Hopefully they'll change that at a later date, particularly if they ever release this game again, or turn it on again. Potions that are listed as target, self, friend are now properly usable on other players again. There was an issue that they were not working properly. Potions have always kind of been a funny thing. When they were usable on self only, you could use them when raged. Anytime they've been usable by on a friend, if you use a rage, they can't be used while you're raging. And they've always kind of had trouble getting them both to play nice, and they're working on doing that. The Librum of Silver Magic has had several effects of fix. These changes are not retroactive to items already created on Lemania. The intent is that they will be retroactive on live. These Thunderforged weapons upgraded with spell power upgrades at Tier 1 are now also considered to be implements and grant implement bonuses to universal spell powers. I think that means that will apply to any weapon you wish. The Shadow Guardian upgrade for Shadow Scale Armor now properly bestows a 60 damage reduction from below 75%, which we are much happy for. There are also 2 new recipes for Shadow Scale Docents, which basically you can get the Shadow Striker upgrade, which is the kind of the medium armor upgrade, but it requires either mithril or adamantine body in order to function. And then the Shadow Guardian upgrade, which will apply the it applies the heavy armor, but it requires that you have the adamantine body in order to function. They also note that Artificer Iron Defenders can use these docents if they have the Homunculus Adamantine Plating 4 enhancement, so that's kind of fun. The Thunderforged weapon recipes now have descriptions, which is very nice. The Fire Dragon Phlogistones and the Shadow Dragon Phlogistones are no longer called Fire Dragon Souls and Shadow Dragon Souls in the Magma Forge. It's just kind of aligning some of the stuff that's going on there. Necromancers have had their, quote, cause lag attacks removed. They should no longer become unresponsive or attempt to run to a skeleton or zombie in order to raise them. Players will also notice a new spell effect for their raised spells so players can see what they are doing. Anything that reduces lag is a win. Giant Knockback now only applies on successful hits and no longer applies on overhead smash attacks. Blocking continues to prevent this knockback, which is great. The monster manual has been updated to include the latest creatures from Update 21, which is fantastic. Spell words can now be spotted from 5 meters further away than before, and there was much rejoicing. Let's see, there are a couple other things like making some of the newer quests shareable. some other kind of bug fixes. Just kind of cruising through to make sure I'm not missing anything that's important. Something that will make some folks happy. The Fog of War and Giant Hold is now properly cleared away from the map once all of the words of the Ancient Ones are discovered. This is kind of a fun little thing that's in the House Cannons Manufactory and also in some of the newer Thunderholm area. The number of monsters has been reduced in some areas to improve performances in some sections of raid group enabled part of adventure areas. The threshold to trigger Green Dungeon Alert has been lowered in some sections of the raid group enabled part of the adventure, which means that the Green Dungeon Alert will trigger more frequently. However, they have set it up so that fewer monsters are spawned when a party or raid group reaches Green Dungeon Alert in these areas, as well to improve performance. Raid groups in the Thunderholm adventure areas should interpret Green Dungeon Alert as reduced monster spawning mode has been turned on, which is a very nice little thing there. In the Titan Awakes raid, the window of time that players have to hit the Titan with the laser has been returned to its intended timing. Yay! Again, with the Thunder Peak, that the number of monsters has been reduced in some areas to improve performance, same as before. That reduced monster spawn mode has been turned on with Green Dungeon Alert, which is a pretty nice attempt to reduce some of the lag and some of the new stuff. Characters can once again get their second Coin Lord favorite inventory slot if they have purchased all available inventory slots in the DDO store. Much more rejoicing with that one. Inventory space is always at a premium. And the Shirati Radiant Aura effect has been removed, and there was an immense amount of rejoicing. That's all of the release notes that I'm going to cover for the show. You can check out through the link that we'll have in the show notes the rest of the release notes. We'll be sure to keep an update on those in case any of them changes and bring some more highlights to the show. In other news, the devs are looking for some feedback regarding player-character balance. Varguil writes that DDO isn't perfectly balanced. We're interested in discussing what balance means and how important balance is to you, the players. We want to know how often you'd like to see balance changes. For this thread, we're looking in particular at character balance and how characters compare to one another. To some extent, this borders on the discussion of player characters versus quest difficulty and all that entails, but the focus here is on player characters compared against other player characters, but not PvP. At some other time, we may also look at other balance issues such as normal, hard, elite, or more specific issues like items, quests, monsters, traps, raids, or boss monsters. Why does character balance matter? We like a variety of roles and styles of play to be supported at a high level of play without some builds that look like funny feeling bad to play because other characters seem so much more powerful. We've heard some level of concern over these topics and related issues. Perfect balance doesn't need to be achieved and probably can't be achieved, but most or all playstyles should feel competitive. We recognize that creating terrible character builds within the vast possibilities offered in DDO is always going to be possible, and we can probably all agree that that's not the real issue. In short, they want you to be able to play what you want to play and have fun doing it and feel like you can be a worthwhile contributor to a party if that's how you choose to play. Why isn't every character made stronger to match the strongest characters already out there? Challenge. They want to be able to provide challenges to those who seek that kind of gameplay. There should be limits to player character power in order to achieve this when comparing player characters against monsters, traps, and bosses. Understanding what's already there, minimizing changes also allows everyone to keep a consistent idea of what exists. If almost everything changes, it's like starting over from scratch, and therefore much harder to get everything right. And then time and resources matter. We can save a great deal of time by only changing a few overpowered abilities rather than changing all other characters, monsters, traps, and quests to match those few most overpowered abilities or features. If they can spend a day or a week pulling back on the strongest rather than months increasing everything else, that leaves us with far more time to implement new features, which I definitely support. What are some examples of things that could be better balanced? We're keenly aware that a player probably has some topics that they are concerned about. We don't like to break characters or take away fun things that are already there. However, we may have been too cautious about balance changes in the past, especially after a new ability or feature has been launched. We'd like to know if you prefer changes to come more quickly, or if we should sit back and let you guys show us what can really be done before making the changes. That said, in some broad areas that they know perhaps could use some consideration. Range combat versus melee combat versus spellcasting at all character levels. As an example, not so long ago, range combat was largely considered inferior to melee combat. We made some conscious decisions to try and improve the viability of range combat, and that at least partially successful, but has brought along some issues of its own. class and race balance. They don't all need to have identical appeal from a power perspective, as there are other reasons to play any class, but we should try to get them as close enough that it doesn't feel bad to play any particular race or class, or that you feel forced to take any levels in a particular class to feel powerful. Epic destinies. We know some destinies are more popular than others and also considered more powerful. Sometimes this is the result of an unintended bug. However, this could include discussions of twists of fate. So individual abilities versus other abilities can still matter, though we don't expect to make every ability equally viable as a twist of fate for its tier. Abilities that can't be twisted, like innate abilities in tier 5 and 6, should be largely considered as a group when comparing entire destinies. This does mean potentially looking at things that rhyme with 10,000 cards, Many Fought, Caster's Fritz, Chirashi Chambarian, and the Bunk Crass, or American Overtoad. They're happy to hear general thoughts on character balance, what you'd like to see, and also what you'd like to see a certain change or non-changes. We don't want to change any particular things without good reasons, so convince us. They also want you to take a survey, a character balance survey, which we will link in the show notes. So if you want to get in on that conversation, please go to the forums and go into that thread and give your feedback. Many people are already doing so. Bugs. As before, we mentioned that potions are not working on friends, which will be fixed in the upcoming patch. The death mechanic in the Temple of Deathworm, dying spawns a red named in that raid. It's a red named wraith that you have to kill before you can be raised. They have not been able to confirm yet whether the death mechanic in Temple of Deathworm has an impact on performance, but since we do have the ability to toggle this mechanic, which I find kind of interesting, we opted to do so during the downtime. If you run into the raid post-maintenance today, let us know if the removal of the death mechanic has had an impact. The Thunderforged weapons, not getting the implement bonus, has again been fixed in the upcoming patch. The Sarva's Breath attack has not been entirely working as intended. It's one of the raid dragons. However, that has been fixed and should be giving you a reflex save later. Regarding epic moments and portals, they did a fix for Update 21, which should keep epic moment counters active through portals, as well as other abilities. However, it looks like some portals operate under their own set of rules or mechanic tech, and may need to be addressed individually. It's also possible some specific moment counters aren't working correctly. If you come across a specific portal that does not keep your epic moment counters, please bug it. The most important information you can give us to which exact portal in which specific quest, raid, or wilderness area or whatever failed to keep your counter, and what specific epic moment counter was affected. It could be that certain epic moment counters are not being saved, or certain portals aren't saving, or likely a mix of both. So, a bug saying that epic moment counters are not being kept through portals is not going to be helpful. They need specific moments and specific portals. Thank you. It sounds like it's going to be kind of like the ladder bug. You have to find the specific ladder and give it to them specifically so they know which one to find and fix. Ruby Eye augments, which are the new augments that scale with minimum level, are not working well with Kenneth crafting. It seems that when slotting a Ruby Eye in Kenneth crafted items, it works fine for dealing its damage per level of the weapon. However, when you log off and log back in, for whatever reason, your Ruby reads your minimum level on your weapon as 1, and now only does damage if it were a level 1 weapon. Groven wrote that they have added this to the known issues, and they should be able to work properly with Kenneth crafting in regard to their damage output by minimum level of the item, so they will work on that. One thing I wanted to pass on to players, I had the opportunity to run some of the raids, and there was some kind of conflicting information about what level people need to be to access the raids. So I got some clarification from Turbine on the matter. For epic content in general, you must be at least the quest level at normal -4 for your level. So that means if the quest is a level 24 quest, you have to be at least level 20. If the quest is a level 28 quest, you have to be at least level 24. When I say quest level at normal, I'm referring to the level the quest would be on normal, which is the same as the quest that would, the level that appears in the Adventure Compendium. When you look up on the chart, it'll tell you what level the quest is. You need to be that level -4 for a character level to enter. As far as entering on normal, hard, or elite, as long as someone opens it first, you should be able to enter at whatever difficulty you wouldn't normally be able to open. the reason why I'm kind of bringing this up is some people were saying that you couldn't enter the raid on hard unless you were level 27, or if you're level 26 and a VIP. So the idea that premium, free-to-play, and VIP was coming into the equation, that's not true. The normal rules apply for opening a quest on hard or elite. So if you're VIP, it doesn't matter. You can open any quest on normal, hard, or elite. If you are free-to-play or premium, you do not have that ability unless you either are the appropriate TR life, so a second life character can open things on hard, third and above can open anything on elite. You can also purchase elite unlocks to do that. However, if someone enters the quest first and opens it, you should be able to get in, provided that you are the appropriate level. There was, however, a bug that basically, if it scaled the level of the quest. So if the quest you went in on hard, it would add +1 to the minimum level to be needed to enter the quest. If you do find that that's still the case, you should submit a bug report. That should not be happening. So you should be, for the raids, you need to be level 26 because they're level 30 quests. It shouldn't matter if you are VIP, premium, or VIP. You need to be level 26 to get in, and the normal rules apply for opening on hard or elite. Bonus days for the weekend were originally, we were going to have the Festival of the Traveler, which is kind of the Easter egg event. However, the event has been disabled and will return at a later time. Unfortunately, one of the items was being given out in an unintended quantity, and another item was not being given out enough. They'll be looking to make improvements in the festival's loot table for its return. That's probably because it was giving out a stack of 10 Sovereign Experience Elixirs, which are the 50% Experience Elixirs. So woo-hoo on that, if you get in on that. But they're probably going to fix that. In return, what they did for the weekend through March 23rd, they have doubled the daily dice XP. So we'll see the Easter egg hunt come back later. Store news, through March 27th, you can get 20% off of Heroic True Hearts of Wood, Lesser Hearts of Wood, Quest XP Elixirs, healing items, and spell point potions. The freebie for the Festival the Traveler event, you could get 3 free tokens. The code was EGGS3, 1 per account. Some people were kind of upset about that because in the past, whenever they've done the egg hunt event, what they've done is they've given most characters, at least VIPs, a free blessing, which is kind of the upgraded version of what you need to get the good awards, rather than the tokens, which basically just give you random loot gen. So hopefully, maybe we'll get some blessings when it comes back, but maybe not. In community news, the DDO Chronicle, the 84th iteration, Black Doguk has created a guide for the new raid, Temple of the Death Room. That was a pretty good guide. There's also a new blog, The Portable Hole, offering tips and advice for kiting in DDO. The Ebon Triad is an Arganesson-based guild that welcomes new players and enjoys handing down gear. You can contact Khalida in-game for an invite. The question, or the comment for the week was, what item augment is your favorite? Probably the one that I end up using the most is either the Physical Resistance rating Sapphire, which gives you PRR, or something to do with any of the hit point ones, are generally the two that I use most often. Enrique was looking in the factions of Tangleroot Gorge in a blog post. And then, let's see, the 85th Chronicle, which came out today. The Order of Syncletica has put together a new guide to monk finishing moves. Livmo has created maps and other tips for the haunted halls of Evening Star. The guild for the week was Tears Palladium. It's a Galanda-based, quote, no drama, no Zerg guild designed for those that are 30 to 60 plus years old. The guild says about themselves, if you have a good sense of humor, wish to play selflessly together, wish to find a guild where everyone matters, and are willing to help each other with any challenge that may arise, believe that you never leave a fellow guildie behind, then get in touch with Leslie West Guitar God to find out more. The comment for the week was, the Storm Reader approaches you from a vast distance. When he is within your earshot, he looks at you directly. What does he say? probably going to say something along the lines of thanks for covering my butt with the truthful one. Let's see, they gave us a shout out for DDOcast's Battlecasters episode, and DDO Gamer got a shout out for looking at the Thunder Forge crafting in some blog posts. They also mentioned that iMore is calling DDO one of the best games for the Mac. Congratulations, DDO. In other community news, DDO Twitch Acute Delirium is up. Jerry took on Elite Acute Delirium with successful but somewhat disastrous results. They had a little bit of trouble getting to the end of that. In other news, the High Lords of Malkier are running Reaver's Fate and Fall of Truth as tutorial raids. We'll link to that in the show note. It is 8 p.m. Eastern Time, Saturday, March 22nd. And I believe that's on Solana, although I didn't write that down. But you'll be able to check out the forum post for that. DDOcast news, we are still doing our 50/50 anniversary card raffle. What that is you send me cards on servers that you don't want them on, and you enter to win cards on the server of your choice. The way you do that is you mail cards in-game to the character DDOcast1. Everything is spelled out, so 1 is spelled out, O-N-E. It's all one word. And what happens is you send me the cards, and please, in the mail, in the text of the mail or the subject of the mail, in some sort of way, please tell me your character name and your server. And what happens is at the end of the event, a few days after the event, I'll stop collecting cards, and what I'll do is I will pick at least one winner from each server, and that those winners will receive a sizable portion of the cards collected. I think so far I'm just over 2,200 cards between all of the servers in about a week. So sounds like there's going to be a lot of cards to give away. There will probably be multiple winners on each server. In addition, I will be giving away owlbears and point codes. The top tier prize will be drawn from the top 20 givers of cards. The second tier prize will be drawn from the top 50 givers of cards. Each card you submit is one raffle ticket. So the more cards you submit, the more possibilities you have to win. There's a nice little post on the forums that I'll link to that gives a much clearer description than when I try to describe it on the fly without actually reading it. But so you can catch that. What have I been doing this week? I did get a chance to run both of the new raids. They are both fun and engaging, although I will say at both end fights I ended up healing. One of them I ended up healing on my sorcerer, healing a Warforged, which went somewhat okay, although I wasn't really prepared to be a healing babysitter. I would say both raids are fun and exciting. Loot seems to be dropping at a fairly decent rate, at least in terms of the ingredients. I don't think I actually saw any of the named items, though, in either run. And the number of flogstrums seems to be somewhat high that you need, but people seem to be giving them away. When I ran the Fire Peaks raid, all of the ones that dropped, I think we had 5 of them drop, all of them changed hands. So people were pretty agreeable to giving them to people who were looking for them. Lightning posts this week. Casey posted that liked the DDOcast. The first time watching was on the Battlecaster episode. Would have liked to see some screenshots on the second Battlecaster build. That was mine. She tended to zone out when people talk and need visuals to get things to sink in. Are there screenshots, and if so, where can they find them? There were no screenshots. Basically, there's 2 reasons why I didn't have any screenshots. One, I made my character in theoretical space, not in the game. If Lemania is up, I try to do builds online just because it's a little easier, and I can make sure everything works. But this one I had to use with Ron's character planner because Lemania wasn't up. The second one is time. I just didn't have time to make something more fancy than what I was able to do just kind of in free space. If I have the opportunity, I'll try and do pictures in the future. But it's kind of dependent on whether or not Lemania is up, just because I need somewhere to actually create a character to make the pictures for the most part. Day News wrote that regarding the Arcane Barium, the Radiant Shield proc, once you've maxed out a Divine Destiny, you can also take the Guardian Angel feat. which makes for a very handy incoming damage raised shield response. What happens when you hit 50% hit points, it'll give you your wisdom score, not the modifier, but the score, as a stacking bonus to PRR, plus number of epic levels. And also a stacking bonus to... So the number of epic levels as a stacking bonus to saves. That's a possibility for the feat for both of the Battlecaster builds. However, part of the problem there is that Wisdom is not likely to be very high. Both builds are kind of using Wisdom as a dump stat, so you might not get very much mileage out of those feats. However, it depends on what else you have available to take. If you find that you want to take it and you can get some mileage out of it, hey, go for it. More power to you. So that'll do it for the bulk of the show. What I'll do is I'll close out the show. Before I do that, I want to mention that on the back end of the show will be the Crucible walkthrough. I did this with Jerry on the DDO Twitch feed. So you'll be able to, we'll link to the show notes those two videos. He had to split into two parts because he has some video issues. But so you can watch his perspective, and then the video that I'm going to post here is the walkthrough from my perspective. So you can get a little bit of both worlds by watching both of those. Although they'll be pretty similar. And to be honest, I think probably my video will show a little bit more because I did the swim, and Jerry elected not to swim quite so much. But so we'll have that on the back half of the show after I kind of do all the closing number and stuff. The reason for that is it kind of occurred to me that if you're listening to the show as a podcast and just audio, it might help a little bit to have kind of all the audio stuff beforehand, and then at the end of the show, we'll put all the stuff that you're really going to want to go watch the video for, likely. That way you don't have to kind of listen through all the video stuff in the car ride. You can just kind of skip all that or try and figure out where you got to go. So I hope this will make a little better format for everyone. So with that, I will close out the show here, and I'll say thanks to Jerry for helping me with the Crucible walkthrough. It's a quest that is very handy to have another person, and you can make fun of us as we go through. I will say thank you to all the people contributing to the DDOcast, particularly the folks that are participating in our 50/50 raffle for the anniversary cards. Thanks for listening to the show, and thanks for telling other folks about us. We've had a lot of people subscribing, particularly on YouTube, so thankful for spreading the word for that. Thanks to Turbine and Wizards for making some great games, and thanks to Cyberbears for hosting the podcast. You can hit us up at DDOcast.com for show notes, the calendar, previous shows, swag, and other fun stuff. If you'd like to be part of the show, you just want to say hi or pass on a tip or a question or anything like that, you can email us at DDOcast@gmail.com. You can also find us on social media, and you can follow us for the latest cast updates or in-game. You can join channel DDOcast. Closing tip for the week, Tommy mentions that tasty ham is the best ham. So until next time, may all your attack rolls be crits, all your chest level appropriate, have fun, and don't forget to stay tuned for a walkthrough of the Crucible with myself and Jerry. Okay, DDOcast listeners, thanks for sticking around for the Crucible walkthrough. Just a quick introduction. Again, this is something that Jerry and I did as part, kind of a dual project. He used his DDO Twitch feed, so we'll link to that in our show notes as well. So you can kind of watch this from both perspectives. You can watch his videos and you can watch my videos. I will note that I did some fairly heavy editing at times. I kind of cut out a lot of the stuff about giving away points and where we were just kind of chit-chatting about kind of inconsequential things. I also, particularly at the end, did some editing to shorten the fight. We were both fairly long-winded. However, we had been talking about the Crucible for over an hour and a half at that point. So we kind of ran out of things to say and had to focus on some of the fighting. So you'll find some transitions there to kind of just shorten up some of that stuff. And again, I cut cut out a little bit of the chit chat we were having while we were doing that, just to shorten things in time wise. I think I ended up cutting something about 30 minutes out of this video, compared to Jerry's just complete raw live version. But with that, we will jump right into the Crucible walkthrough with Jerry. Thanks for listening. Please enjoy.
It's still a really fun quest. It is a really interesting quest. I don't want to say bad things about it. It's actually a very good quest, very well designed, but it is tricky. It may be one of the harder quests in the game.
People tend to either really love it or hate it.
Yep. But I don't know how it falls in terms of difficulty. But I think part of what makes the Crucible so tricky is that there are traps, some big puzzles, a maze, some tough monsters. It really tries the mettle of your party. So before we get to, I guess, Patrick's, run through an instructional of instructions on how to run the Crucible, I thought I would share Cordovan's instructions for running the Crucible. 1. Be in a full group. 2. Pike as much of it as you can. 3. Make everyone else do all the work.
We're going to break all 3 of those rules for you.
Nice.
Right,
so the first thing we need to do is get out here. Once you can find it on a map, but one way that it's not uncommon to do is just simply run straight out there, avoiding most of the mobs here and the giant hold area. I think we're going to do that here this time around. As you notice, I've taken a invisibility potion just to kind of help things along there, but your mileage may vary. You may choose to just run it.
I have to remember where my invisibility clicky is to use it here.
Yep. I usually just keep a stack of potions. 3 minutes is usually enough for just about any run you might actually want to invis your way to.
My invisibility potions tend to go to whoever's TRing at the moment.
Yep.
I keep a couple in the bank, but put them on the character that's TRing who doesn't have an invisibility click he can use yet.
There are a lot of giants that you'll have to face if you're in the epic landscape coming out here, so aggro can actually be a little bit of a mess, particularly if you're in a group where, say, someone has run to the Crucible before you. You may well find yourself amidst a sea of giant.
That first ramp we ran up can get clogged down pretty good.
Yep.
You can also, even if you're doing this in epic, you can always just run out here in the heroic explorer too. You don't have to do it on the epic explorer.
Yeah, that's true. Oh, that's actually a really good point. That never actually occurred to me. Learn something new every day. I don't know why I didn't think about that. That's genius.
And here we are.
Yep.
It's not too far of a jaunt.
Nope, and there is a nice shrine and everything here for you as well. What do you think? You want to try hard?
That's fine.
What level are you?
27, 26.
All right, we'll do hard. Oh yeah, there is some good loot here as well. I was hearing some people say Diamond of Vitality plus 20 is a nice item in there. The elite aquatic bracers can be very nice as well.
I think you might have to do it on normal or heroic to get the Vitality Diamond, but I'm not positive on that. And I think that comes from just one chest. I think it just comes from the underwater chest.
So do you actually go for sort of all these breakables in this one?
Yeah.
I tend to find the Crucible can be a lot of breakables, so I often just sort of let it go. But
they're mostly in 2 places, and this is usually just a good place to start breaking them. Most of them are here at the start. They're kind of all over the place, and usually, people are kind of straggling in. You can kind of wait for them. You don't need to buff until you kind of start talking to people, so you can just kind of run around and break everything. Get most of it done. Then the other time is I'll kind of show the room later. But usually, we'll probably, at least one of us is going to swim. We may or may not both swim, but usually not everyone's going to go do the swim. So you can kind of go do the rest of the breakables while someone's swimming as well.
Yeah, I don't think I'm going to be doing the swim. Well, but we can get to that later. I can sit by the lever though and help you with that if you want.
Yeah, that might help a little bit.
But we could kind of see. But so let's actually back up to this room. When you first get into this room, there's a whole bunch of NPCs to talk to, and many of them require, like, say, a high diplomacy in order to be able to interact with them. Why would you want to do that?
There's a couple reasons. One is you get some XP. So the more of these you can do, the more XP you can get. The other one is this guy right here, the Harza, the Ghost Waker. He won't actually talk to you, but if you do this right, you don't actually have to fight him at the end. They'll kill him for you on the way.
And what do you need to do to talk to him? It's a high diplomacy score, right?
Right. So this guy here, Vrol, is a diplomacy roll. We'll see if I can get him. I might have to roll higher than a 4, though. They changed this so that it's no longer a flat number. You actually have to roll. And I'm not sure if I'm actually going to be able to achieve this, but we'll give it a whirl here.
It should be noted that you don't have to do this. It's not required that you pass these skill checks in order to be able to proceed with the quest. Each time you do, though, you get an advantage. Each person will, in some way make the future sections of the quest typically a little bit easier for you. For example, let's see, like, you can get a map which you can give to someone else. That'll put like some of the mobs there. Later on, basically, we'll have a sort of helped. Well, have triggered a trap, right? And so basically, then you won't have to deal with them there.
Something to that effect. Although it doesn't look like my diplomacy is not high enough to get this guy. This is the first guy, so you have to talk to this guy, and then you have to come over to Daggertooth, if I recall this correctly. There's no penalty for messing this up for the most part, so you can kind of try and play it around with it. Yeah, I got this guy. So you basically, you can see there we got a little bit of XP.
Yeah. Now, it should be noted for those who are seeing this as well, yes, there are a lot of chests here. You cannot take them now, but when we're done with the quest, we'll end up back here, and then this is where we're going to be looting all of our stuff from.
So I'm going to give you the map, and you can talk to Gorn here, because Gorn takes an Intimidate skill. And there's, if I remember correctly, I want to say there's 3 or 4 different kind of skill checks here that you can do. And I think one of them's this one's Intimidate. The two that we were trying before were Bluff, or were Diplomacy. And then that one there that you just did was the Intimidate. You need the map from this guy, from Daggertooth over here. So we used Diplomacy on Daggertooth, and we used Intimidate on Gorn with the map in your inventory. And then Daggertooth goes to a Bluff roll, which you can do again. However, I don't think either one of us has any hope of getting the Bluff.
No.
And then Vrol is a Diplomacy check. His is a lot higher. And the reason for that is because if you do successfully Diplomacy him, what he does is he kills his friend Harza on the way there, so you don't have to fight them all at the end. We are going to have to fight them all at the end, because we are not quite so skilled.
That's fine. So to get started with the quest, you just speak to Jorgundel here. I think that's how you say his name. Jorgundel?
Sure.
He says, speak to the champions, then return to him.
Which we already did. What he's doing here is he's just giving an opportunity to do that. We just tell him we're ready to go. This is where people will really kind of start to buff, just because there's a little bit of it takes a little while for this to happen.
Hey, you're coming through on voice chat.
Oops, sorry.
Yep.
Habit.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's just this little thing takes a while. We have to wait for all those guys to run through and get started here.
Do you have any buffs?
Yeah. What do you need?
Oh, everything.
Yeah.
This guy is actually currently guildless, so I have no ship buffs. I notice you're doing pretty good, though. Province of the New Republic, level 100, huh?
Yeah, we've been there for a while. Back when they did the bounties for the guilds, we kind of jumped high. Or when you hit certain level marks, you'd get a big guild bonus, and that kind of put us over the top.
So your first real fight is going to be as soon as you go around the corner here. You got this big group of mobs that'll really kind of test your mettle. If you can't get through this, you probably should go in on a much easier difficulty. So let's see how we do here, huh? I've actually seen a few wipes in this start. That's why I bring it in. People are sometimes people are like, I will just go in on Elite, or back in the day, and now it'd probably be Epic Elite. Next thing you know, everyone's sitting here dead.
Yeah, it's gonna be. The mobs here are pretty beefy. It is some of the higher level content on Epic.
You'll find a lot of hobgoblins, orcs, that kind of thing.
And gnolls.
Gnolls. Yep.
All right, this is the maze, and this is where, if you don't really know what you're doing, you can get stuck in here for a while. There's 3 levers. Each lever controls a different set of doors, and that's kind of the trick, is figuring out how to do this, is knowing which of the doors which levers to pull for which doors at what point in time. Probably should have done normal just for time.
Well, we are being judged every
We are
second
being
of this
judged.
thing. So,
All right, so the right here is obviously closed. I'm not going to necessarily navigate this by voice, but you can kind of get an idea of what we're going to do. We're going to go towards the east and go to the I lever first.
so let's give an overview. What do you, in general, need to do here to get past the maze?
Well, we're trying to get the horn, which is at the center of the maze. That's the end goal. To do that, we have to find 3 crests and put them in their slots. Each of the crests is behind a different one of these doors, controlled by a different lever.
And the trick is that there are sliding doors that
Yes.
allow access to or cut off different parts of the map. And the sliding of the doors is triggered by a series of levers that are located throughout the maze here. So essentially, you'll put one of your either NPC or like hirelings, for example, if you're careful, or a player character at one of the levers, and then trigger it to open or shut one of the gates, in which case one of the players will then run through and do whatever they need to do.
Yeah. You can see it.
And to open up various parts of things.
This is the I lever, and this is the I door. You can see that the runes kind of correspond on the ground, and then when they light up, that's the one that's gonna open. So we'll pull the I lever once first, and that'll open this door that we just ran past. And this is where one of the crests is. There'll be a couple of guys back here that we get to fight too.
Yeah, it's actually, if you were to go in without a walkthrough at all or any kind of, assistance to do it, if you need to try to figure this out yourself, really all you do is you match the color of the rune on the floor by the door, figure out where the lever is to do that thing, and just sort of systematically go through the maze, opening and shutting all the doors you need to do until you get the all 3 of the crests that you're looking for.
Yeah, it can be a little tricky.
Yep. And it can be very time-consuming.
Yes, indeed.
And as you'll notice, there are these guys up top who we can't kill yet.
Which can really get annoying when they're casters. Yeah. So this is the second
right.
door. Do you want to go back and pull the I lever real
Sure.
quick? The second crest we're going for is behind this door here. And again, there's just a few mobs behind it. Always three guys behind each one of these.
Now, if you do decide to, say, park a hireling at the various levers, and that is a absolute method you can do this, particularly if you're short manning the quest to get through. One of the things you can do is you want to make sure you have auto-targeting turned off. So that means you're going to want to go into your option setting, into, say, your UI settings, and make sure that the various auto targeting things are disabled. Because what'll happen is you'll need to keep the hireling, say, parked here and targeted at the valve in your window right here, right? So if you lose that connection there because you, say, have auto target on or whatever, you can actually find yourself in a position where you're sort of stuck. And you really just can't proceed further without assistance.
You can pull I again.
Okay.
The trick to that, though, is because you have to pick up the crest. It's a little tricky because you have to select the crest to pick it up. It's going to be a little bit of a trick there.
Yeah.
So the first socket is on the east side of the center room, and as luck would have it, one of the first two crests I picked up is that one. So it means we don't have to come back, which is convenient.
Right.
So go ahead and pull I.
Okay.
That'll let us get back to the rest of the maze.
There we go.
And then what I'm going to do here is I'm going to have one of the hirelings go over and pull this again. It's going to lock us out, but we don't need to come back here for a bit. And we'll want that lever pulled the other direction later.
Go, Owlbear. You can do it.
Maybe. Come on, Owlbear. There we go.
Yeah, sometimes I have to admit, like playing an Artificer with an Iron Defender or whatever can be very useful in this regard. I've always found that they are pretty good lever pullers.
Yeah, so this is the K lever. If you want to stay there for a minute, I'm going to go a little farther, and there's two doors here. I'm just going to stand in between them and go ahead and pull K. And the third crest is just behind this door. If you can pull K one more time. Now I'm in the room with the K lever.
Yeah, I guess we were talking a little bit earlier that one challenge is the mobs up top that, especially on elite difficulties, can cast Sleet Storm. Excuse me, which is can make things pretty tricky. So
yeah, and there's summoners up there that can start summoning a lot of stuff. If you're not careful, you can get some problems with Dungeon Alert. If you can go ahead and pull K again.
it should be noted that you can actually, in some cases, kill them up top with a ranged weapon. You could probably use
Finger of Death.
Yeah,
Death
Finger of
spells
Death,
is an option.
Divine Punishment, whatever. But they will respawn.
All right, we're done with this lever. If you want to,
Okay.
I came over so you can see what I'm doing.
Yep.
So we'll check this crest over here. This is the west side of the main room. We'll just slot that in. At this point, you should have all three crests. You should be able to put that one in. If you didn't get the one at the eye lever on the eye side, you can do that one there. I'm going to kind of go all the way around. Get around out of the maze and sneak through this way. Now we should mention too, there are multiple ways to do this as well. This is how I like to leave the K lever. You know you're done with K if it looks like this, these two doors. Just let you get to the west side.
One of the best resources, frankly, for those who feel like they need a guide or walkthrough or something like that is really the DDO Wiki in this case. They have some good maps that will, provide walkthroughs and really step-by-step instructions if you wish to go that route. So.
Yeah, and this is the H door which we'll have to get through. With the lever right around the corner here.
Yep. You want me to do lever duty again?
Yeah, why don't you go ahead and pull that one. This one you got to be a little careful because there's a couple of guys that stand behind this door. And I've seen, and at this point, a lot of times, you can go ahead and pull it again. At this point, a lot of times, you've got a couple of people spread out. You might be down to 2 or 3 people fighting in here. You kind of got to be a little careful about how much you get into.
I've actually seen another way to help take care of the aggro up top is, say, like hypnotism or flesh to stone.
Flesh to stone's really good because it lasts a long time.
Yeah, and it'll also prevent them from respawning here too, so that it's sort of a longer term solution.
Yep. All right. So now the center room is open because I put the last socket in. Let me double check. Yeah, so what you have to do is go south along the west side and then come back up through by the K lever.
South along the west side would be.
You're pretty much you're going to exit the maze and go all the way, south, and then you'll come straight up through the center.
All right, so I'm now by the test of cunning. So I go off to the right side. Is that correct?
Whichever one's open, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
and then you're going to go past the K lever. So you'll kind of go north and then circle around. I suppose it could come get you too.
That's all right.
Yeah, there we
Here's
go.
the K lever. Now you circle around.
And so the way the maze
Hey.
is set up right now is it's basically straight up the middle north is the way out. We don't want to pick up this horn quite yet, because once you do, this whole floor is going to fall out, and there's going to be a whole bunch of stuff. It's going to drop and spit at me and be all sorts of fun.
Right.
You also want to, before you do that, you should just make sure that the path is clear straight out to the north, which it is currently. There's an extra chest. We'll get it at the end, but in the northeast corner of the maze, some people like to get that now. And to do that, you have to have someone toggle the eye switch, which blocks you from getting out, but lets you get the chest. You're going to go to the north side here. And I am going to tell my owlbear to stay right there. So he's on the north side.
You want to send the owlbear to pull? Oh, actually, we can't have because we need the.
I kind of need
item.
it, yeah.
Yeah,
So I'm going to try and be clever and tricksy and try not to die here. Get all the hit points I can muster real quick.
I will target you with my hireling.
All right, and
All right, go for it.
3, 2, 1, go.
Nice work.
Yeah, you can see behind me there's some fire and ice jets that were going off.
Yeah, that's a real deadly trap.
Yeah, you can disable it, but in our infinite wisdom, we did not bring a rogue.
Yep. Well, I mean, if we could pull out a rogue hireling if we want to, but
Yeah, what's the fun in that?
yeah.
So the route to the maze is north. We're going to actually come back to the maze later in a strange way, when that can become important. It's possible to end up back in the maze. And what we're going to have here, you can see the little dragon head on the door. That's where the horn that we just picked up has to go.
Yep. So actually, lore-wise, the basic idea of the Crucible is you're basically being tested. And apparently they don't care too much about how many people you kill to do it, but you are being tested by the various tribes here. Oh gosh,
Yeah,
I can already feel the stress level
let's
rising.
Let's go show people where this lever is.
Yeah.
lot of-
Maybe I should put on an underwater action item.
Yeah,
This
probably
is
would
a
help.
useful thing to have in this quest.
So down where I am, there's a lever. You have to be careful. If you go too far, you're going to go through that little blade trap there, and it's going to dice you up pretty good. There's a little alcove off to the west side of it with this lever here. And what this does is it actually turns the water off in this section of the waterway. It doesn't turn off all of the water, but this can become important later. It just makes it a little easier.
Yeah, well, what it does is, it stops it from going for 10 seconds at a time, correct?
I don't quite remember how long it lasts. I've never really bothered to time it. Most parties don't actually even use this, and I think it would probably not be inaccurate to say that probably at least half of the player base does not actually know about this lever. Most people don't use it. It only affects half of the swim that we'll do later.
Yeah.
And it's the back
that
half.
you'll do
so
later.
Yeah, that I'll do later.
I need to admit, you know what? One of my great DDO shames, I have never beaten the swim in the Crucible. Never, not once.
It can be a little tricky. And also give some tips on how to do it.
Yep.
It's not the
well, I
easiest
should
thing
say,
in
I
the
think
world,
I did
for
get
sure.
through once, but it was through the brute force method back in the day when you could have a hireling there with you.
Oh yeah.
So I just sort of would res die, res die, res die, res die. But that doesn't count, right? So
Probably not.
Yep.
There are some people that are just really good at the swim, and they'll do
proof
it.
with
and-
them.
Yeah.
Here's my advice.
I mean, I've seen people do it without evasion on heroic elite and not even get touched, just because they know what they're doing. All right, so the Crucible is actually divided into 4 kind of challenges. We just passed the first one, which was the maze. And while I'm thinking about it, watch out for this little square in the middle. If you ever see a little square like this, don't step on it. They are often trapped.
There's even a little skull to tell you
Yeah.
to watch out. So right, so the first section is the maze, and what here is the test of agility. What's going on here is you have someone who's capable of doing so has got a limited period of time. And let's see if we can kind of give you a little
Well,
hint here by looking at the rooms.
before we
See
do
these
that,
kind of lever or pathways up here? Someone's going to need to go through there and in a limited period of time wind their way through a section of sort of walkways and that. And that
and
walkway is
traps.
going to be full of various traps, you know, kind of spike traps and all that sort of thing predominantly. And that person has a certain amount of time to get to the other side and hit a lever on the other side.
All right, probably don't want to take that guy with me. All right, for better or for worse, I am ready to go. Go ahead and pull it.
All right. And you're going to want someone on the other side here. Now, because if you fail, everything shuts down, and you're going to need someone to help get you through, reopen the door to let you kind of out and get through there. You'll see all those little spinny traps and everything.
Whoops.
And
I fell
Patrick is
down.
working his way through.
I'm going to try it again. There's levers on the inside of each of these doors, too. The other thing about these doors is if someone's inside beyond these doors, you can't restart it.
Right.
You have to get everyone out of the room. Hang on a sec. Let me give myself a... Ooh, I don't have a jump. I have one of those. Great.
Do you
Jump
have?
helps.
I've got a hero in some motion. If you would.
I have one.
Okay. Yeah. So basically, what do you need to do this? High reflex save is good.
It's a
high
bit of a
jump is
twitch
good.
skill, too. It's just... You just got to know where you're going.
Frankly, if you've got, say, like favorite soul wings or whatever, that can be really useful. So.
And some people, like I just used a barrel that I like to jump on there. Some people go in and just start smashing barrels. That can be a little bit of a problem. So I'm through, and you have to watch my feed to see this probably in a week or so. But I'm at the horn, and as soon as I pull this, everything's going to pretty much break loose, and there's going to be all sorts of fun little traps in my neck of the woods. So I'm going to try and run out without dying, which I have succeeded in doing. This is one of two shrines. Someone has to get through at least the first room, although it's not timed at all. The only thing that's timed is that door up there that you have to go through to get the horn. So you can take your time to get to the shrine. But this is one of two shrines that you can get. All right, so we're at the shrine. And we'll go on to this is the room, by the way, that there's a bunch of barrels in these two rooms that are joined. And this is where, when someone's swimming, this is where I like to, if it's not me, I'll come in here and just kind of take my time, weed my way through the traps, which you can't disarm. And I'll just break all the boxes while someone's doing the swim.
I wanted to show you some funny thing that you can do here in this particular section of the quest. You can go to the head of Austraix, turn around, and then turn your camera around, and you've got a dragon head.
Nice. The other fun thing you can do here is talk to this gatekeeper here. If your diplomacy is high enough, he will play nice with you. I don't know if we're going to be able to achieve that, though. If you talk to him nicely, what happens is, and I think you actually have to do it before you grab the horn. He'll do a couple things for you. One is that he'll take the armor away from the knoll. So this hallway here, we are fortunate enough that everything has broken out. I believe that is where the map comes into play. If you don't do that, all these broken pieces of floor, you break them when you run on them and fall into the water below that we came through earlier, which can be quite the annoying little journey, particularly if you do it several times. So we are about halfway through the Crucible at this point. We've got...
you say that now.
Yeah. We've got 2 of the 4 horns. There's essentially 3 more tasks and then just the end fight as I fall into the water. So the next one is the trial of instinct. Is that correct?
Yes,
Yeah.
instinct being instinct to die.
What's
Now
your
here's the basic idea of this room. This tome is going to give you some various clues. One of these doors holds the crest you need to get through to the next section. The rest of them are full of traps. So the Tome of Instinct will give you clues that are either true or false uh, in terms of which door you should open. So it might say something like death lies behind door number 5. If your wisdom is high enough, then it'll tell you the truth. If your wisdom is low enough, like really low, then it'll lie to you. So there's basically two methods to get through this section. Oh, I should also say that you only get three tips, three clues. So generally, no matter what, there's about a 50-50 chance that you're going to pick the wrong door anyway. So, but in general, here's the way to do it. If you have a low wisdom character, like me, with my fighter wisdom of, well, 14, but that's still low enough for, certainly for Epic here. You hit it 3 times, figure out what clues it gives you, and then do the opposite. So if we were to say get clues which would exclude door 1, 2, and 3, and then we would need to say, do we want to do 4, 5, or 6 to go for the for the crest? It's generally not. It's often the clues will give you more than one door, so it's not always that way. There's basically 2 ways to do it. That's the way to do it, actually. The other way to do it is if you have, say, an Artificer Iron Defender, is you can simply have that guy open the doors, die, res them, open the next door, die, res them, whatever you want to do. That is a method, the brute force method of getting past this way, if you choose to do that. So
the trick here is once you open a door, it resets completely. It also, I believe, at least common knowledge or common opinion is that it doesn't matter. Anyone near the tome will affect what it tells you. So generally, where I'm standing in the back here is where most of the party will stay, and then most parties will send the lowest wisdom person up there. And most of the time, actually, it'll tell you some door hides death. Is the message will give you, and because you have a low wisdom, it's gonna basically lie to you. And generally speaking, that first door is actually the door that you want to take.
oh, really? I wasn't aware of that.
Yeah, it's not always, I don't think, but generally speaking, the first door, if you have a wisdom that's really low, it'll tell you some door hides death, and it's that first one is usually the one that parties will take. That's the one that they'll open, and most of the time, it's actually that one.
Someone in chat asked a very good question. How are the doors numbered?
At your feet, in Roman numerals.
Yep.
So 1 is the first door on the left, 2 is the next door. It's a little hard to see because they're kind of dark, but then just make sure you get your 5 and your 6, or your 4 and your 6 in the correct order.
I think I'll dismiss my creature companion here just to get him out of the way. All right, so let's do this, huh? You ready?
Go for it.
All right, so death is a black knife in the shapeless night. Death is the master's blood on the student's blade. The 6th door hides death.
And the 6th door hides death is going to be a pop-up message.
Yep.
You can actually read the book. The one that says hides death is going to be the pop-up message that you're looking for.
Now, should I do this 2 more times?
Your choice.
Yep. But here's actually a question I guess I don't know the answer to. Is it 3 times total or 3 times per try?
I would assume it'd be per try. I don't usually try it multiple times. I usually go with the send the lowest guy wisdom out there, and he reads it, and then we pick that first door.
Right.
Or the brute force method, one of the two.
So, let's just find out, huh? The doors nearest the book hide death. So that would basically be 2 and 4.
5.
Or 2 and 5. And then the left-hand doors hide death. Now, keep in mind, this is false. So if it says it's hiding death and it's giving me bad information, that we're being told that it basically number 6 could be it, or number 2 and 5 could be it, or number 1, 2, and 3 could be it.
What was the first one was 6 hides death, right?
Yep.
So if the hireling is actually affecting it and giving you true information, we know that the left-hand doors hide death, so that means 1, 2, and 3 would not be correct. We know that 6 hides has death, so we don't want that one. And we know that 5 hides death because the second clue was that the doors closest to the book hide death. So that would be 2 and 5,
Right.
which would mean 4 would be the correct answer
Right.
if they're telling if it's actually telling us the truth.
Right.
I can have the bear pull it.
Yeah, let's have the bear pull it. Poor bear.
Yeah.
Hopefully PETA's not on our case here.
He might not pull it.
Well, I think Luna will. There we go. Loud and clear. Hey, go for it, buddy. Thanks. Oops.
So that was not the correct answer.
Here's some fireworks for you.
Good that you can see what it actually looks like.
So then it resets. So here's the question then. Like I said, I've often just sort of done the brute force method on this. If I'm getting false information, then that false information wasn't really helpful to get multiple clues because all it's telling me is that 6 hides death, but the opposite of that is it could be 6.
I think
So if
that's
we're
why
being
people,
told,
if they have low wisdom, they just take the first one.
right? Let's try that then. Third door hides death, so let's just try having the third door get selected.
I think though the proximity of other people can affect it, but I'm not positive on that. See, there you go.
There we go.
Low
Thanks,
wisdom,
Luna.
pick the first door.
All right.
Or you could do it the right way and try and figure it out like we tried to before, except you had low instinct.
Yeah.
All right, this is the fun part. Let me give you a freedom here.
Well, I have good instinct. It just, my instinct is try it until we die,
Yeah.
and then do it again over and over. This section in particular can be a little tricky as well. You've got a lot of mobs you need to take care of. That's the first part. That's really not so bad, but it helps to have some jump here. Because if you're not careful, you can find yourself all the way back at the frickin' maze.
Yeah, we're actually on top of the maze now.
Yep.
And the first thing you want to do here is there's a lever next to some ladders. Pulling the lever puts the ladder down. So if you fall into the maze, you can get back up. So that's the first thing you want to do when you get here. The second thing you want to do is kill all the stuff. There's a lot of it.
A little easier said than done sometimes.
Yeah.
So this could be, man, they've got me just on the ground. I don't know here. I really should be going after these elementalists first.
This is kind of the general wisdom. Oops.
So I'm talking about the sleet storm here. Could be a little rough.
Yeah, that's why I gave you a freedom at the start. That really helps a lot. Let me clean the mass up here a little bit. I'll get you a res.
That's fine.
Maybe you can answer some questions in the feed there.
Yeah, Arcane Darks. Actually, Arcath Dark spell says going to be interesting to watch 2 people be in 4 places at once when they have to do the wheels. I'll show you how you can actually do that. You do have a little bit of time in order to get that done, so it's really not as bad as you think. But that's one of these cases where having a couple hirelings part can make it even easier. And yes, Greater Command was the one that was just really taking care of me pretty quick there.
Yeah, that'll do it.
Yep. Mary mentions, good to see Jerry isn't the only one working late on a Friday evening. I have to say, it's only 5:49 here, so
This isn't work.
This isn't late. Late is 10. Yeah. Yeah. Let's see. Hey, while I'm waiting here, let's. I don't think I've done my roll here. Oh, you can't open the anniversary bag when you're dead.
Yeah.
Well,
Oops.
oh no.
That's okay. I'll just go to the letters. And actually, while I'm there,
Yeah.
come over here. We'll res you, and then we'll show people a trick that we didn't mention earlier about the center.
Actually, my timer's pretty poor. Let me come down. Oh, there we go. All right.
I'm gonna give you a druid reincarnate, so you're gonna come back as a different race.
Nice.
Well, probably should have raised the hireling first.
If we need to, I can.
I got it. I just have to wait for the timer to go.
Oh, okay.
I'm in wolf form, so it's a long timer.
Oh, thanks, CSI. Nice to have you here. You know what was funny, actually? CSI is one of the few people who I got to meet when I was up at the recording session for Ed Greenwood because he
Yeah.
happened to live nearby. So we had a nice lunch there. It's pretty
Okay,
cool.
so if you fall down here, you end up back in the maze.
Yep.
And we want to get up to the north. Now, the trick here is going through the center, there's a whole bunch of spikes that you don't want to land in.
Yeah.
If you crawl down the ladder, they won't hit you. If you jump, they will. So you just want to use the ladder all the way down and all the way up, and that will avoid getting poked.
Oh, that is good advice. I wasn't aware of that one either. I learned something new today. Are there other places? It's just because these spikes are particularly long, right? Like that wouldn't work, say, in Rainbow in the Dark,
I
would it?
assume it. No, I think it actually does work in Rainbow in the Dark, but I'm not positive. The area around the spikes in Rainbow in the Dark is actually uh, designed so that you don't get hit. But
Huh.
that's not always true everywhere. The idea there is so that you have a way to get through safely. That's kind of the trick.
Where are we sitting here in terms of mobs?
So as you see that we're kind of clearing this room, in 3 of the corners there's a wheel. And we have to set all 3 of those wheels to the correct combination at the same time, which is why someone was asking how we're going to be in 4 places at once.
Well, it's okay though, because how you do it is you've got a little bit of time.
Yes.
So, yeah, you have I believe it's been a while, but isn't it like almost 30 seconds? So that's plenty of time.
It's long enough that you can run from one corner to the other corner with no problem.
Yeah.
And if you're lucky, you don't actually have to turn them always. The other thing here is we're jumping across, which is the way that pretty much everyone does it. But technically, you can have people on the levers down below turn the doors around, and you can walk on the top of the doors.
Hmm.
So that's one way to do it. So this is
All right. Yep.
the trick here is this is when we pull this lever, we're going to have a certain amount of time, and these 3 there's going to be 3 lights that are going to light up here: a green, a red, and a blue. The trick is this first one on our left. That's where all of the rune wheels start. That's what they're all set to. So if the light is on that one, it's going to be 0 turns, and then all of these numbers are actually in sequence. So the second one from the left is 1 turn. The next one is 2 turns. The next one is 3 turns, 4 turns, and 5 turns. So what we'll do, Jerry, how about do you want to go to the northwest one?
Right. Let me. So typically, right. So once we hit this, we're going to get. Well, yeah. Okay. We'll just sort of do it that way. One way you could do this if you are in a group is basically just have someone at that calling it out, and one person at each lever, and you just sort of do it simultaneously.
Yep. So why don't you?
Oh, you said northeast?
No, that's fine.
Okay.
That's where I was intending to
Oops.
go.
Accidentally flipped the wheel. Did I screw something up?
Do you know which one to set it back to?
Yeah.
It's what most people call E. That's the one that I remember it as.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, F is the one that has 2 spokes through it.
It doesn't really look like that, but I call it the bow. It looks like a bow to me, like a bow with an arrow in it.
People have different names for all these. It's kind of funny. Um, all right. So if you're ready, if you want to go south to the, what is that, the green lever, then I'll go north on my side. Okay. All right, here we go. Blue is 2, green is 5, red is 0.
Blue is 2, green is 5, red is 0.
Yep.
Blue is 2, green is 5. So I hit this one 5 times.
We might have ran out of time.
Yeah.
Or you were at blue set wrong.
I didn't set blue
Unless, oh,
yet. I was over by you. There we go.
There you go. So yeah, you can see that we had quite a bit of time to dink around there.
Yep. I believe you actually have a little less time on elite difficulty, I think. I think the amount of time you have is based in part on the difficulty of the quest. Maybe I'm wrong there.
So you can see here the code. So red was 0 poles, blue was 2, green was 5.
Mm-hmm.
And generally, when I call it out, just a tip is I actually try and start from the right. So I'll say that green is 5. So the person that has to pull it the most number of times is the first one to start and react, and then blue 2, red 0.
Right.
Just a trick for calling that out. So there's basically one more little task that we have to do, and that's going to be the swim, which is probably the most dreaded part in the whole quest.
Right.
If not the entire game.
It's up there. Oh.
Yay, glitter dust. Okay.
I feel sparkly.
So before we swim, there's a couple things we want to point out here. One is over to our left here is a lever, and if you recognize, this is the hallway where all the floor would fall out, and the shrine is right around the corner, which we'll use before we go down there. The other part is, if you look here, this is where the swim is. Once you jump down, there's no way back up except to go through the swim.
Yeah, let me call that out. Yeah, right here.
So generally speaking, you don't want everyone in the party, particularly if there's someone who can res, you don't want everyone to just jump in, because you might need to have someone come back later. You can actually kind of res people through the last portion of the swim if you need to. So just kind of as a backup, in case they all end up down, if everyone ends up down, you may not have anyone to res the swimmer if he dies towards the end.
Right. Where you at?
I am heading towards the shrine.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Now, do you have to run through do the traps go off again?
Yep.
Yeah, they do. Okay.
They do, but it's not a time thing. The door's open. It's not a time thing, so you can kind of dilly-dally your way through it. You don't have to be really fast about it.
Nice. Yeah, I am not doing the swim here. I have never been able to do the swim. So unfortunately, you're not really going to see it on video so much because I'm going to hang up towards the top there.
It's
but
okay.
essentially,
I'm gonna cheat and post it myself. So.
Oh yeah, right, that too. But essentially, what you have is some fairly skinny hallways underwater, full of spikes that are on the side of the wall, sort of facing against the direction you're swimming. So you're basically swimming into the spikes.
With a current pushing you into the spikes.
That's the trick, right? There's this fast current that'll push you into the spikes. And the spikes are largely instant death. At least that's
on a lead that can be true.
It's at the very least a lot of damage. So what do you do if you are the person that needs to do the swim? Well, one thing you need to do is have a good swim score. The better your swim score, the less the a current is going to work against you, right? So that's predominantly the reason why people with a higher swim, or maybe people make a swim item specifically for this. What is your swim?
I don't know if I want to look. Probably not very good.
Yeah.
28. That's not terrible.
It's not too bad.
Most people don't. A lot of times, vets don't even really worry too much about the swim. They just kind of do it because they know how to. It's not going to affect you a terrible amount. So if you don't have swim, don't worry too much about it. There are some tricks too that you can kind of work through.
Right. One of the things that people have tried over the years to help me stop my noobness here, and one piece of advice that I always got was you can jump into the water, sort of turn your camera around so you're actually sort of facing yourself, and then you're swimming against the current using the opposite method of, Q&A or A&D, whatever you have it set up, to sort of nudge left and right to go around the walls. Is that how you do it?
Not really. Although I'm going to point out that I just went through a fan. There's the first fan you come to, you can actually go around. You don't have to swim through it. No, I kind of just leave my camera going the same way, and then just use mouse look and the side. I use the sideways strafing to go left and right.
Right.
And then I use the space bar to go, the jump to go up. Is kind of how I navigate.
Yeah.
Which with some degree of success, as I had a few evades there and everything. So that was the first. I just went through the first set. The other thing to know about this is if you move again, if you get stuck against the wall, if you start moving around the wall, you're going to take repetitive spike hits. But what you can do underwater is you can drink a potion. So it's always a good idea to have a bunch of potions handy for this part of the swim, or for this part of the quest, just so that you can kind of top yourself off just by potions, which is what a lot of people try to do. A little bit, kind of at the first bend, there's a valve here, and you can see that there's a big giant fan. It doesn't look like it because there's a little bit of a display, but when you pull that valve, this fan stops spinning, or at least it stops damaging you, and you can go through it, and that's where the underwater chest is. That's where the first underwater chest is.
Right.
And that's where where all the goodies are, the aquatic bracers and stuff like that.
So here's the question then. Do you need to do the swim in order to hit the chest? Like, once you get this completed, is it possible to go back and hit this chest?
You can come back and do the chest. You actually have to, because right now the chest is locked. I need to find the key to do that, which is actually going to be in the same room that I'm going to here. Let's see if I can find my bearings. There's a valve on the inside that... Actually, what I think what the valve does is actually... The big thing it does is it lowers the door that's there. Alright, so now we'll do the second half of the swim. Or the second leg of the swim.
Alright, now I'm alive. Let's roll this magic D20. Is this when I'm going to get my... Nope, I got a 5 and a 2. So there you go.
So you can see that I got a little low, so I'm going to sit here and chug some pots as my game goes a little wiggy. Yeah, the thing that is kind of hard here is that you can't cast any spells while you're underwater, which is kind of the part that is annoying. It makes it kind of hard. Luckily, I stocked up on pots before I came here. If you have anything that gives you stone skin, any kind of temporary hit points, those are also good options. They can protect you a little bit from the spikes. Radiant force field would be another option. Anything that's going to mitigate physical damage are all good choices. Of course, it also helps if you make your saves. All right, so we get to a point where there's another left-hand turn, and there's a bunch of gates going along the place of the current. There's kind of a little cleft of a rock that you can kind of hide in that prevents the current from pushing you past. And then in front of us, there's going to be it's kind of hard to see because the cameras are bugging on me. There's a nice big spinning blade. What we want to do is wait for that thing to stop spinning and then run through it. Although And that's the direction we need to go. And sometimes it's actually a little hard to tell when it stops spinning. Basically, if you can go forward, it's not going to hurt you. That's kind of the trick. Because the graphic actually doesn't let it stop spinning. It still looks like it's going. It's going to dice you, but if you can swim through it, you're okay. And in this area, there's going to be a couple of things. There's going to be a pile of gold. There's going to be the crest is going to be on the ground. Or the little horn is going to be on the ground. That's the first thing we need to get. We can't move on unless we get that. There's also going to be a gold key that's going to be in the chest. So you can see here that I'm you can't see it on your screen, but I'm backspacing between three options here. There's a chest, glittering treasure, and the horn of endurance. And I've invised myself, and what I'm going to do is very unsneakily run in here. And the first thing I need to do is grab the horn. So I'm going to grab that first, because everything else is kind of secondary to that. And you can try and get some other stuff. Everything else has a bar that goes along it, so they can be kind of. Let me get that first. The gold key that you need to get that underwater chest is in the treasure. I guess usually what I'll do is I'll get that first, because while I'm invisible, they have trouble finding me to hurt me. So it makes it easier to get that, and then you can just grab the horn and run. You don't have to kill any of the stuff in there.
Right.
And then we got the last part, and this is where this is one of the fans actually that the lever we showed you guys earlier will turn off. Now it's just a matter, and these are one-way gates, so once you go through them, you can't come back. So make sure you have the horn before you go through these gates.
I just want to comment real quick on the chat here that someone is saying maybe we should use this opportunity to give away some more turbine points. I am doing this again. So if you, I'm picking some random people, random names from the chat stream. If you already won some points, I'm not giving you more. But I am picking some random people in the chat here and messaging them through Twitch with a code for turbine points. So if you get a message from us, congrats.
And again, we'll post. This is probably going to be the next DDOcast episode next week. Next weekend. Yeah. I got a busy weekend next week, so we'll post this on our feed, so you can see the swim that I just did there as well.
Yeah.
At this point, we can all jump down.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I'm back. I have the crest. We are.
Okay, let me give away one more code here and call it done.
This one is one of those things that if you practice it a few times, you can kind of get a better idea of what's going on, and that video should help. The thing to remember is there's basically not a lot of turns. It's the second kind of major, well, I guess the third turn. It's the T intersection is what you're really looking for, and the map will show it as a T intersection. And you want to go to the right at the T intersection. That's kind of where we're trying to get to. And that's where the horn is going to be. Now, it's a big fight towards the end. You want to be careful here. There can be a lot of mobs.
Yep. Yeah, it's good to fight them back here and try to pull some things to you. Insta-death spell is going to be really useful here.
Yeah, my insta-death is pretty paltry.
Yeah, mine too. Well, obviously you got this fighter. I don't have any. But yeah, you can look at all those bad guys back there. Jeez. Uh-oh. I suppose you can toss a res to our cleric here.
I'm trying to keep you alive more than anything else.
Alright. Get rid of this.
My res is pretty lengthy in casting. But you can also kind of retreat around the corner. So it's a little, you don't have to fight everything and keep fighting everything. You can kind of back up a bit. And one kind of little trick here is if you get the guys before they ring the bells, you don't get quite as many mobs.
Right.
But that can be a little tricky if you don't have instant kill.
And again, you know, say like a bard with a good fascinate can be useful there. You know, any kind of crowd control that you might be able to have is you know, what you're going to want to do.
Anything better than my paltry earthquake is going to be better than what we had there.
Yep.
Yeah, this can be a pretty rough fight just to get to the shrine here before the end fight. A lot of mobs. It's kind of a tight corridor, so there's not a lot of room to maneuver.
Yeah.
Alrighty.
Not looking too bad. Suppose we should get Luna her spell points back.
Yeah, we can go ahead and go in. This is gonna be a little bit of a lengthy preamble to the end fight.
Yep. And again, sometimes the hirelings won't come with you, so if they do, you might need to just quick call them to you. Oh, I actually have spiked boots in this guy.
Yeah, there you go. So, how about I'll kind of kite most of the stuff around. If you want to start with Harza, the Ghost Waker,
Okay.
and I'll do what I can with the other guys.
Sure.
Yeah, if you talk to that kobold we talked to, the Daggertooth won't have his armor on, which isn't really a big deal for the most part, but it can be helpful.
I'd run. Who am I going after again?
Harza,
Right.
the shaman dude.
Yep.
Get rid of the shaman dude first.
Yep.
Like in the beginning, if you get the right stuff done, the optionals, you don't actually have to fight Harza. He won't be around.
I actually keep forgetting. On this character, I've got he's a fighter Kensai. I've got that ability that removes like effects. Does that actually remove knockdown though? I don't know if it does or not.
I don't think that effect's really ever worked very well.
Yeah.
This is where we really need more people.
Yeah, so far so good though.
When in doubt, kite some stuff around.
Mm-hmm. Ours is at about half.
Bring in some reinforcements.
Go, Luna, go. I guess I'd rather you heal Luna than try to take on Harza Ghostwalker yourself. But you're not the one casting those remove curses on me, are you?
Nope.
Okay. I actually have a few potions here. I could take care of it myself.
I'm mostly ignoring you right now. I'm having fun dancing with 3 people at once, so.
It's generally good advice. Alright, ours is just about done.
Go ahead and do the Knoll next, Daggertooth.
Oh.
The reason why we went after the spellcaster first is I'm pretty sure he's a divine guy, so he can heal, which is kind of annoying.
Yeah, you wouldn't want to get into a situation where, the healing was happening faster than you could deal with it.
Especially if we're kind of short man, so it's kind of a tactical thing. It can be hard to focus on one guy. As you kind of see on my screen next week, I'm doing a lot of kind of dancing around. I'm sort of focusing on one guy, but I'm pretty much just trying to create space between the two of them and then attacking one that I can get some space on. So you don't want to be too, I'm not being very selective about who I'm attacking. It's pretty much whichever one I can separate and get closer to. And so if you end up going back and forth a lot, then the healing is isn't as, or the other guy has a lot better chance to heal his friends. This makes it a lot harder to actually get anywhere.
Yep.
You'll notice as these guys are dying, other than the caster, they're all dropping keys, and those are for the 3 chests at the beginning that we couldn't open. The guy that the caster doesn't actually drop a key because you don't necessarily fight him.
All right, did you get all the keys?
I got 2 of them. I think you got the other one.
Yep.
And then to finish the quest, what you do is you talk to Jorgendal.
Yep. Let's see how we ended up here. 2 deaths. I was the only one. You managed to go all the way through without persistence bonus, vandal bonus. We didn't get ransack, but
That's because we weren't messing around too much with the barrels.
yeah.
So there's 3 chests. Good for getting Elven relics, because they pretty much all drop Elven relics. What was our time? 75 minutes? That's not too bad, 2 manning.
Yeah, yeah.
And taking breaks and to talk and stuff, so.
Yep, 2 restored Elven relics, Wisdom 8, Natural Armor 8, Headdress. Yeah. Not good for me, but not terrible.
Then before we finish out here, we'll go grab the chest that we skipped in the maze.
Ooh, Ghost Waking Cloak.
Hey, there you go.
Charisma 8. Well, again, not necessarily for this guy. It is bound a character on equip. Actually, do you want it?
I could take it and give it to someone, but
Yeah.
if you want it, you can keep it. Or
Well,
I'll
it's
give
bound
it
to character on equip, so
here, I'll put it in. I'll
does
put
me
it in
no good.
my gift bag for listeners and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have anyone else on the server that could use it, I don't think.
It
Charisma
does have
8,
Ghostly on
Resistance
it,
7.
MDR, so
Ghostly.
that's not terrible for you.
Yeah, yeah. Hey, you raise a good point. I suppose maybe I should just keep it myself.
Yeah, keep
Now that I
it.
think about it.
You need all the help you can get.
What are you saying?
You're the one who died.
Twice.
Did you get all 3 of your chests?
Not yet. I'm working on it. All right, so where are we headed next?
We're going back to the maze. We're going to get the chest that we skipped. You could. This is generally when people will go back and get the underwater chest too, if they're going to get it.
Yep.
Which I don't know. I think we should drag you down there just so people can see where that chest is, and just to see
It's
people
not a bad
watch
idea.
you swim.
Yeah, it's not a bad idea at all. Man, am I encumbered or something? I seem to be walking slower.
You might have had an exhaustion or something.
Yeah. Good, I'm just going to climb down. That's really good advice. I don't think I knew that. That's the best piece of advice I learned here today.
It's a good
Very
trick.
useful, that.
So what we need to do, because the door's closed, is, I guess you're gonna have to climb up here. I'm gonna have to go open the door so that we can get out. So the chest is in the northeast corner, and it's kind of behind this door that right now is closed. If we were to jump down there, we'd be stuck.
Unless you have a
the eye
D-door
lever
or
is
something.
closed. Yeah, you could do that too. I'm just gonna jump down and pull the eye lever. So.
Yep.
That's the way I get it last, is usually I don't bother with the underwater chest, and I'll just go and grab that and recall out from there.
Let's see, from DDO Wiki, overview gnolls are hyena-headed evil humanoids of the gnoll type that wander in loose tribes. Interesting. Yeah, loot wasn't too terrible.
What's that?
Yes, drumming spider. That is a reroll loot button. That is a possibility. All right, so where are you leading me here?
We're going back up to the start of the swim. This will give the people who are listening to the Twitch and watching that, it'll give them a good idea of what actually the swim looks like. Just kind of the start of it.
So I can't actually swim against the current here.
You don't need to swim against the current. You just gotta
Where
move
am I going?
faster than. Oh, you're just stuck down there.
Yeah.
That current actually it goes away. It's not constant, so it's sporadic. It turns on and off by itself. You can also you'll see a lot of people kind of jumping up and down, because while they're in the air, the current's not pushing them back as hard.
Yeah, it's not getting me forward though, unfortunately. Let's see. Yes, I have to wait it out. Here we
If you
go.
have trouble with it, you can either
So
wait it out or you can take your shield off and your armor off.
yeah, that's true. I suppose I could take my. What you mean? I shouldn't try swimming in full plate with a mithril tower shield or a tower shield?
Generally,
You saying
no.
that's a bad idea? All right.
Because
Yeah,
the
but
thing
I
with
can't be
swim,
naked on the live stream.
the thing with swim is it does have an armor check penalty, but it's double. So whatever your armor armor check penalty is, it's doubled when it applies to your swim, which is why people tend not to have a very good swim score.
Yeah. That's like I'm gonna need to take my armor off. Good thing it's been working out.
So I'll let you go first, and then if you die, I'll catch you. You want to stop.
If I die.
You want to stop at the first after the first set, where the lever is.
Oh no.
Remember that first blade trap.
God, I'm so bad at this. I can't do this.
The first blade trap, spinning blade, you can go up and to the left of it. You don't end up going through it.
There's how pathetic it usually goes with me every time. That's just
okay,
terrible.
I got your stone.
That's just. That is why I don't do the swim. Right there. So.
Yeah, but see, that's what everyone was paying to see. Right
Yeah,
there.
right.
Yeah, I'm not the best person at this either. I know people who are way better than I ever have been at this. Alright, so here's that lever. Pull that and run for it. One thing to note too, if the person doing the swim, if you die, the horn drops. You have to go back and get it.
Oh, you're right. Right. I've had that happen too.
I'm not sure if the key drops, but the horn definitely does.
Yeah.
Alright, here you go. So this is the underwater chest. And this is the one that can drop the aquatic bracers, which are perhaps the most specialized item in the game. But no dice for us.
Nope.
So there you go. That's the Crucible in a lengthy nutshell.
Yeah, not bad. I actually think that went not too terrible. So, yeah.
We got it done.
Yeah.
On Epic Hard.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's interesting. The fact that you can do it with two people, of course, means that you really could solo it as well. Although you would need to, some of the maze might be tricky. Like I said, you'd have to use either maybe an Iron Defender or a Druid Cannibal Companion, perhaps Hireling, and be real careful about your targeting and all that sort of thing, or you could get yourself in a pretty untenable position. But
I think you have to like backspace the levers and stuff like that to make it work. So there we go. There's the Crucible.
yeah, not bad at all.